I used to be anti-AI, but for like 20 years, I put art away, and there is more than enough opportunity for everyone. When we hit that plateau, how do you break past that?
We're making slop, cooking up some slop. Come and get your slop.
Hey, what's up, man?
How are you doing?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I've been having
Um,
some computer issues today with my laptop, so I'm hoping it's going to be able to hold up.
oh, cool. Yeah, no worries, man. Um, yeah, we're recording.
Cool.
Dude, well, let's start with the thing I just saw you posted about this morning on YouTube. What the hell?
Yeah, I know.
Is are you not able to post or is it
I can post, just not monetized.
I see.
But they've done that to a lot of people this week. It's like I keep every day I've logged in and see someone else with the exact same thing. And it's not like unknown entities. There's
Right.
known entities out there that are that it's happening to, which is weird because I was talking to a couple friends yesterday about it, and it seems like there's like two paths with AI right now. And one path is like the shallow end of the pool where people are just getting into it. They pull from IP as something familiar that they're, creating, and they're recreating fanfic, things like that. I think some of the deepfake stuff that's come out this week from YouTube is we're gonna see less of that. And then there's the second path of AI where people have pushed away from the shore. They're really creating like genuinely something new with this technology, which is the whole point, right? Like they've spent billions of dollars, and you can argue about how they've trained the models and how they get information and get into the weeds on that, but really there's an opportunity to create something genuinely new with this technology. And I've been kind of very vocal about that for years, about there is a better way forward in doing this, and you're never going to win over anti-AI people by making content that is a reproduction of media that already exists, or using known entities as a crutch to get views or monetization.
That's
Uh,
interesting. I hadn't quite heard it put that way or connecting the AI hate with these recognizable like IPs, and it's almost like it's a much easier target. They're like, oh, I recognize that. I've seen it before. Whereas if they see something totally original, it again it comes down to like no one really cares how it was made or what the tools were if it's like unique and interesting and like, oh, what is this?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I have comments all the time. I keep them like badges of honor where people will say, I hate AI, but I like this. And that's a common theme that I see in a lot of my like in my comments threads, is that once people recognize that there is something new to be made from this, and that AI is really just such a small fraction of the process, they become more accepting of it. And that's how AI gets mainstream adoption, not by leaning into the deepfakes and things that people hate. I mean, it's been an unspoken rule for a long time, I think, among creators to really not do deepfakes in the way that people had feared because of the socio-political economic implications that that causes. And it does a detriment to an emerging industry, right? Like you're not only hurting yourself, but you're hurting everybody that uses these tools in the process. And without any sort of meaningful legislation, there's this vacuum right now of like, who are the thought leaders in the space, and why are they creating a certain way that they are? And is it for views? Is it for, a way to capture the attention of people? Sure, that works, but is that really the best foot forward for an emerging industry that's trying to prove out revenue streams and distribution? Probably not.
Yeah, and certainly not sustainable
Right.
ultimately. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. There are a lot of there are a lot of a lot of paths that we want to go down. Um, do you well, one question I had is like ostensibly if you had a budget or if you had Netflix coming to you saying like we like this stuff, like are you someone who would be like I don't know your history before as an
Mhm.
artist. Maybe you want to jump, briefly touch on that. But like, would you say like, okay, I'll take some money and I can hire more artists. I'll create a crew. Like we're gonna create a little series, or are you like, no, this technology lets me, create whatever I want as a one man band. So that's where the power is, or or is it somewhere in between it? Like, how do you
Yeah,
think about it?
it kind of varies, right? I think there are a handful of solo creators that keep pace with these kind of studios. And then you see some names that are portraying themselves as a solo creator, but they have teams of people behind them doing a lot of like the grunt work, like
Mm.
prompt monkeys, the animation junkies. That those are people that are like in there generating, finding the iteration of what they're looking for, filling out storyboards, running those animations, and then an
Right.
editor doing all that stuff, versus someone like me who's like having to fill the role of all those people. So there's a gambit to run in there. I think, there are people that are in the space that are getting deals like that right now that have studios behind them. That's great. Big budget productions warrant big budgets. But at the same time, like me as a solo creator, I can create original content in the same kind of vein that they're looking for. And it really depends on what your ultimate distribution looks like. What's the 10,000-foot view as a creator? Like, are you creating a TV show? Okay, well, then you need to be creating something every single week. You need a very fast workflow, something that can iterate very quickly. Small and nimble is usually pretty good with that. I think of like the South Park kind of model, the Simpsons kind of model, where they can, kind of almost make social commentary that's relevant to today and not, a week ago. And then there's people that are building out like massive teams to do studio work where they're doing films. And that process is, months long and goes through multiple hands and screenwriters and things like that. So I think there's a place for everybody in the ecosystem, but there is definitely a way that it should be done. Like, let's all set the bar somewhere and say, okay, here's where it is. And if your lane's film and you're doing hybrid workflows and that's the gateway drug to get Hollywood into it, fantastic. More people are in AI. If it's TV, that's great. Like, I think about it from this perspective, and I'm starting to work with distribution channels that are in the TV space. But a single channel to run 24 hours a day is 8,670 hours in a year.
Whoa. Wow.
And that's 24 hours content all day long just for a single channel. Now, multiply that by multiple streaming platforms, things like that. There is more than enough opportunity for everyone. I don't think you could take all of the AI content that's been made
No
today
way. No
and
way.
equal 8,000 hours, right?
No.
So this idea of like competition in the space is so much of a futile effort because art, first of all, is a collaborative. It's not competitive. And so it's more conducive to invite more people into the process and develop and know that these goals are where we're ultimately going than having to fight each other over a slice of the pie. Like the pie is so massive that everybody can go back for seconds, right?
Yep.
So there's no
I,
point in this competitive kind of air and atmosphere. And I think the space does itself a disservice by hosting all of these competitions and kind of pitting artists against each other.
oh, interesting. I hadn't considered that. Like all the
Yeah.
AI film competitions.
hmm
Oh, interesting.
Because it's art subjective, right? So a judge
Yeah.
today is going to say, "Oh, these are my favorites," but someone else would have been like, "Well, if I was a judge, these would have been my picks." And so
Yeah.
there's this constant competition where people are having to jump through hoops in hopes to winning some sort of prize money, but that's not a way you develop an industry, right? Like
Yeah.
that's just a way for people to get a little dopamine hit, a little recognition, pat on the back, and maybe a check to keep going for the next month.
Yeah, and also, I mean, I kind of look at it the same way as I look at the Oscars, which I don't really care about, and it seems to be mostly like paid advertising. I mean, those campaigns, cost so much money. It's giant marketing campaigns to get it. So it's like kind of recreating kind of the old ways for AI, which I mean make sense, I guess, but it doesn't. But I agree with you. I mean, competitions are essentially worthless when it comes to something as subjective as AI. And I think also when you the kind of the 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 iris or whatever is like opening up the aperture to allow so many new voices and ideas in that we've never seen. You
hmm
know, it's
And
hard
it's
to
scary, right? Because
yeah
it's the internet, so you're gonna have no one's ever gonna be able to control the flow of entertainment anymore.
yeah
Like I think a lot of the old gatekeeping is just melted away completely.
yeah
And for anyone that's in this space that wants to move into it more and make it a career, there's opportunity there to do that, but you're not going to do that off the backs of somebody else's work. We've seen the pushback, right? Like, sure, you're going to win over AI people that already like AI, but there's a ceiling to that. If you want to get the general public involved, then you have to be able to address the things that they don't like about AI.
Yeah.
Energy consumption, where do the data centers go,
Yeah.
uh, who controls that? I mean, these are all complex things that no one at a high level is really discussing outside of the companies themselves.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, did you see that video of the young woman, I think in the South, who was like a singer, and she said that like someone was like taking her work and I think posting it, and she couldn't like, um, you know, she couldn't get a hold of anyone human to like take care of it, and they were like, or there's something like they were doing some kind of AI version. I've seen other people, other artists, writers, and stuff. They're pretty freaked out, and I understand the fear and the like not and kind of having like this like faceless like tech, bureaucracy that there's no one to
Mhm.
appeal to with your like even the YouTube
Even the
monetization.
YouTube
It's like,
stuff.
well, who do you
Yeah.
call? Who do you? It's like it's kind of spooky. That's the dark side of this stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of wish that we had, stronger leadership right now in developing this stuff. Like I understand the global perspective of like a race versus China and all of this stuff, but the technology is coming regardless. Like we have to build this smart. And I think that the more, adults that are in the room having this conversation of like what does that really look like for an emerging field? Like where are the boundaries? What's fair use and what's not? I mean, I see the fair use argument thrown around all the time. That's like a defense in court. That's not a permission
Right.
slip.
Oh
So by the
yeah.
time you get slapped with a lawsuit and you want to go into the court and say, "Oh, it's fair use," you got to defend that. If you're making money off of that content in any meaningful way, fair use goes right out the window.
Interesting. So like I would imagine you're kind of referring to like Sora 2 or like when these models come out of the gates and they're like I mean when Sora 2 came out I was trying I was trying Alf like it all was like crystal clear perfect then they nerfed it
Yeah,
of course but you're like hold on they literally have trained on everything. I mean
yeah.
there's some model behind the wall somewhere where they can do whatever they want with
Yeah. And I
yeah.
mean, and there's just because it's been trained on specific, like if you were to assume in, say, Google's perspective, they trained everything off of YouTube, let's assume, right? All of that is publicly available content that's out there. Just because the training data learns movement, expression, things like that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it has to replicate likeness, or even a frame for frame of something. So if you were to make a fan fiction of something, it doesn't have to be exactly that. If you're mirroring shots and you're using your own characters and things like that, I mean, all art is derivative when it comes down to it. I recognize that, but there's a difference between training it on these different data points and recreations. And I think in Sora's case and to a lesser extent Cdance, that's what they kind of ran into in the US is that, you know, training data is not the same as replication.
Mm. See, I still don't know. I probably need to do my research more on how it actually works. And like I know a little bit about diffusion, like when stable diffusion came out but that's so interesting because I resonate with everything you're saying because I also agree with like our art is derivative and I learn by copying artists whether it's like music or drawing, you that's how
Hmm.
you
That's how
that's
you
how
learn.
humans develop. You learn
Right.
talking by copying. We're mimetic. We share what we find interesting and we copy it and then we slowly create our own versions. So I mean in that respect, like maybe the issue with AI is like not as much about the training and artistic, but it's more like people fundamentally feel something like, well, okay, who's profiting, and like how do I like maybe it needs to be like a commodity, like like electricity or something
Hmm.
that's a good, a proper for the for the village, and not just
Yeah.
something that feels like it's this like tech, yeah.
Yeah. I
What do
mean,
you think?
it's funny because even Sam Altman said when he was asked about the revenue model for OpenAI, he said, we don't have a revenue model. The AI is going to get smart enough. It'll tell us what the revenue model is. And I find that to be interesting because his company's valued at almost $1 trillion right now. But the products that we make is the revenue model. Combining these tools together in a way to create something new is the revenue model. Entertainment is just like the easy, low-hanging fruit. Video with the advent of the, image and video generation, that's the kind of the first thing, right? Money flows in through advertising first, which is exactly the trend we've seen with AI. Money started flowing for developing ads first. Now we're starting to see creators book and sell shows and those concepts. Ultimately, we'll be going into like AR, VR, and expanding into generative experiences and what those look like. I mean, I had a call today with someone where I'm working on something in that world of,
Really?
creating my IP as a actual location with different experiences at each of the
Whoa.
places. So there's so much still to come from all of this
Yeah.
that we're sitting here splitting hairs over like
Yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? It just seems like such a waste of time to even engage in, and a lot of times I don't engage in the arguments. I'm not going to argue with someone. If you don't like AI, that's fine. Don't like it for what it is, that's great. But for the people that do or get curious about it, and that's all it takes is a spark of curiosity to do your research, find out what the stuff does, how it works, and how it can, change your life in a way that's positive. It's really giving people an opportunity to create their own revenue streams in a way that we haven't seen since the dot-com era. And I don't think it's going to bust like the dot-com era did in any way. I think we're just going to keep expanding from here.
Yeah,
Um,
dude, I think we're on the exponential curve, man. I
yeah.
mean, man, I want to go two ways. I want to talk about, I mean, whatever you can say about AR. I also want to talk about kind of your whole like vision of like your aesthetic, because you strike me now. I see, okay, this guy has a bigger vision. Like you strike me more as like a Disney type guy, or like you could have your own theme park or something. Like that's probably how
Mhm.
you're thinking. But then also, well, maybe we should just go with that because I already kind of like lost my train of thought. Um, is that does that resonate with you? Like you're
It
thinking
does, yeah.
big. You're kind of
Yeah.
like have this world that you're
Yeah, I mean,
building out.
I have it on my bio, generating, generative experiences. That's where
Oh,
all of this is
interesting.
ultimately going to go. And we've seen early iterations of that, right? Netflix tested Bandersnatch, that kind of choose your own adventure
Yeah, that was so
thing,
cool. I loved
right?
Bandersnatch.
Yeah.
Yes.
And some platforms have gone down that route at a very early iteration of that. But as the technology gets better, you're going to be able to feed them existing video content, image content, text content, and that stuff is going to then be able to iterate even further into new storylines, new characters, things like that. And so that's where I'm going long term is,
Whoa.
not just a singular platform. Like YouTube monetization, does it suck? Yeah. Is it going to stop me from doing what I'm doing? Absolutely not. They're just not going to be part of the story. And that's unfortunate for them because I have a lot more in the pipe that's coming than what I'm doing right now. So, and it seems in that case too, it's almost in favoring of their existing creators. Like everyone is trying to maintain
Mm.
the moat that they've had, and AI is just like the massive wave that's washing all of that away.
Yeah.
And so it's constantly shifting, and you have to think beyond where we're at today and like where this technology is going, and as a creative, what your place is in that. There will always be someone to consume content. There is not the same level of people who want to create content. And I think that that's
Mm.
where the mistake a lot of companies have kind of derailed is they started focusing on what's like user generated content.
Yes.
And yeah, there's a market for that, but people don't want to make stuff all the time, especially in
Yes.
the United States. We're tired. We're burnt
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
People are at a maximum right now. And
Yeah.
you see it even in AI. People are working like 16, 17, 18-hour days repeatedly, like constantly. I mean, I work 12-hour days minimum 5 days a week.
Yeah.
And even on the weekends, I'm working on side projects and stuff. So there's not going to be that appetite for constant creators. People will want to experience things. I think movie theaters are going to shift to more immersive experiences. I
Really?
think we're seeing a reemergence of like art galleries are going to fundamentally change. We're already starting to see that with Datalin and Meow Wolf.
Oh, I love Meow Wolf. Yeah.
Yeah. So the problem that Meow Wolf has run into is that it's a static installation. So when you go there one time, it's going to be the same experience.
Yeah.
the draw of a movie theater is that a new movie comes out, you could constantly go back to the same theater and see a new movie. So
Yes.
now with AI, because you can iterate so fast, you could essentially go into a Meow Wolf type experience and next week experience something totally different in the same space with AI. So I think that we're going to
Whoa.
see a lot more of that stuff starting to come, and the technology is just going to keep advancing. I think VR has been great as one of those avenues, but I truly think we're going to move into a more of an AR space.
Whoa.
We're starting to see it with like the meta glasses and things like that. But
Yeah.
look at the popularity of Pokemon Go. I
Yeah.
mean, there is an appetite for something like that.
Did you try the Void? Did they have that in your did you see that? You know, it was like the one I did was like a Star Wars thing. You put on glasses, you have like a fake gun and you like go
Hmm.
but like you'll go to these different rooms, you stand on a platform and it goes over this like
Yeah.
lake of lava. Yeah, dude. I mean, that blew my mind. And then it went
Hmm.
out of business. I'm like,
Yeah.
it could why can't these companies that get into AR, VR like grab onto like what is it that VR
It's
just can't
disjointed development.
really?
It's everyone's developing different things that
Mm.
should go together, but they're not syncing up timing wise. So I forget if it was Microsoft or someone, but they were making essentially a pad that you can walk on. Oh, it was Disney.
Oh
So
yeah,
it's this
yeah.
pad that you can walk on, and you're just walking in place. So
That's
you can
sick.
literally run, and it just keeps you in the same place. I mean, that'll be commercially viable in 5 years.
Whoa.
And you could essentially just buy it, unroll it in your living room, and just be on this pad.
So do you think? But doesn't that go against what you're saying about like live experiences, some kind of like new theater Meow Wolf thing that you
I
go
think both
to?
can be both
Okay.
can be true. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, think about going to the movies versus staying home and watching
Yeah.
streaming, or playing a video game versus going to an experience. It's just a different avenue to experience that stuff. I don't think that they're like exclusive,
Yeah.
like it's one or the other. I think both can exist.
Yeah. Totally. Whoa. Oh my God, dude. I love having these conversations. You know, it's rare. Like I was telling my wife, like, I don't have a lot of people in real life that not only know about AI and tech stuff, but that actually want to. They tend to, because I'm in LA, so like a lot
Hmm.
of people are kind of not so cool with AI right now, and
Yeah.
um, and these conversations are so great. I mean,
I used to be anti-AI.
did you really?
Yeah, I got into AI because I was adamantly against it during the writing
Oh
strikes.
yeah,
And then after that time, I was like, well, let me look into seeing what this is. And when I started to get in there, I was like, what if I took my own art? Could I take my own art into this and do something with it? And then I started to really see the possibilities with it, be like, oh my God, I can literally create a whole alternate reality of stories and ideas and things that I've been cooking up. I've been an artist my whole life, whether
yeah,
it's been a musician. I started playing piano when I was 5. I'm a painter, photographer, writer. Like I've always been into the arts. As I got older, I'm like in my early 40s now, but for like 20 years, I put art away and just focused on surviving, trying to make money. And then to get back into it now has just been like it's kind of opening up that well again. And it's just this never-ending stream of like creativity that I can iterate as fast as the ideas come.
man, this is a common thing that I'm hearing from AI.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of us, early 40s, like kind of put away some of the creativity. You get bogged down, and this is like you feel like when you were like a kid and like having ideas and dreaming, and it
Hmm.
reawakens that. And when you feel that, when you experience it, it's hard not to see the positives of AI, and it feels like a
Hmm.
miracle, as I
Hmm.
describe it. I mean, it's just so incredible and so empowering to people who are
Yeah.
like multi hyphenates like yourself.
Yeah. And I think there's we could be further along in the US with our infrastructure, with our energy creation. I mean, I think the fact that we're not focused more on green energy initiatives like we had planned to be is a detriment to our AI growth, because this power has to come from somewhere. People complain about the water, and yeah, there are water concerns that come with it, but most computers aren't set up to hook up to a faucet. They're closed
Mm.
systems with, you know, chemical lubricants that are running everything. Are there dangers to these data centers? Absolutely. And the development of them? Totally. Could we be doing it more responsibly? Yeah, I think so. And I think that that's going to be a larger conversation. We're starting to see, talks of more nuclear companies like coming in and developing their own nuclear reactors to control all of this stuff. So there's a ton of money and opportunity in the space right now. It's just finding your lane and just kind of running with it.
Yeah, and I mean that kind of ties back to what you were saying, and I remembered what I was going to say is like you mentioned like I don't think this is going to be a bubble, and I agree for a number of reasons. One of which is like AI is like self-learning, and it will be
Hmm.
soon, very soon. If it's not already, probably is, but we'll soon publicly know if it is or not. And that kind of means that it'll just keep you know evolving and growing and becoming more intelligent. And I mean personally, I'm curious how you feel like my sense of the rate of uh, increase of speed of what's the word, like not growth, but the tools are getting better quicker. And
Hmm.
I personally, since I'm focused on AI, I see the tools in AI, but I would assume that I mean they are getting better in every single realm, like you see with
Hmm.
Claude. And so that suggests to me like yeah, we probably are on some kind of curve of some kind of singularity that's going up and up. And
Hmm.
it doesn't seem like this is some kind of past. We can map this to some kind of past industrial like up and down, or is that kind of just being naive? I mean, what do
No, I
you?
know. I do think that we're seeing faster growth and development, but at a marginal return. Like the
Mm,
returns are getting smaller. So like you can only create realism so perfectly until you
mm,
can't perfect it anymore. Um, so then what happens, right? When we hit that plateau, how do you break past that? You can't make reality more real in video.
yeah.
You know, you can't, you can just do it faster. So I think that we're seeing quality improvements now. And then after the quality improvements kind of hit a plateau point, we're going to start to see optimization, which is typical of any tech development cycle. I've worked in tech for 18 years. I develop workflows in my for my day job, and I do optimization planning. So, I mean, that's a world that I kind of come from. And so I know how these things are all cyclical, right? It's quality improvements first. You develop out all the tool sets, the and everything that works the way that you want it to work, and then you optimize it to get it to be faster, which is incredible. Like I remember 2.5 years ago, you would run a generation, it would take you 5 minutes for one generation. Now in 5 minutes, I can have 15 generations that are already done a video. Like it's insane. So we're gonna see, I think real time is gonna become a lot better, which when that happens, then we're really kind of cooking with new technology.
Yeah,
When
what do you, oh sorry. Well, what do you kind of, yeah, see like if it gets to real time generating, I mean things get
I mean,
weird, right?
we're there.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
already real time gen now, but the injection is really where the art is of it. So, say you were to put up a camera in a club, and it's recording everybody in the room, and then it's projecting art based off of what it sees there. You could essentially say all of these people are flowers, and then the projection in real time will have all these flowers that are moving because everybody's dancing. That's wild.
Yeah. That's
You can
awesome.
do that now to an extent for shorter periods of time. I think as time goes on, we're going to see longer real-time models, larger. That's where you get into the world models and the real generative experience technology comes in. So we're you can piecemeal it now manually. I think we're going to get to the point where that's just going to be all automatic at high fidelity, like 4K.
Wow. How do you personally balance your time with like staying on top of new tool, and all the stuff that's happening with like actually making like do you have tabs open? Like how do you do it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have two different computers.
Okay.
Yeah, no, multiple tabs, and really, I don't usually jump to the new shiny thing unless I have a reason to.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Flux One, right? You're still
Yeah,
using, and Ryan Lightbourne mentioned that too. He uses Flux One
yeah,
with Laura's.
yeah, and that's because there you can fine tune that model. And I harp on company CEOs. I'm like, hey, this is a strength. You guys are going to need to come back to this because, and I've written about this in the past. In is that when everybody's using the same models, and there's only so many keywords or tokens that you can use to make it look different. everything starts to look the same. And we're starting to see that. Like when I see ads that are made with AI, I can say, oh, I know this person used text field. I know this person used Kling. I know this person used VO. Just looking at the generation, I can tell where it's coming from. Um, I like to make content where people look at it and be like, how did you create that? Like something so uniquely different that you have to show someone a different way. And I think that Flux, and to an extent, some people will argue a larger extent, SDXL. These are models that I think people are going to come back to or at least emulate, specifically because you can update the checkpoints, the start points of where they're, everything's starting from, the LoRa's, whether it's style, character LoRa's, location LoRa's, all of that are like colors on a paint palette, right? And that fine tuning is what's going to give people custom stylization and custom looks that are uniquely theirs. Like I can post something now and not put my name on it. You know that it's mine because it has a very distinct like look to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean that also kind of it goes back to something where it's like the vision almost transcends the tools at that point. It's like no,
Mhm.
I'm not asking like what tool did you use because it's like uniquely your style. It's like recognizable as like something you make, which is cool. I think that's the ideal.
It
Um,
shows that it's not the tool that's creating things. And I think
yeah.
that's the argument is
Yes.
like
Yes.
AI creates everything. And it's like,
Yes.
no, when you see something like this, you know that there's human authorship involved. I can tell you where all the injection points are, where the iterative choices came in, where the, editorial decision making comes from to put a piece together. Like those are all human authorship moments. And if you were to say that like all AI is slop, it's not. I mean, this stuff, as I've probably found and, talked to people is it's time consuming to do this stuff. It's not, most people think you just tell AI to do this thing and it will do it. And yeah, some of the agentic programs are starting to get there, but you can tell the difference between someone handcrafting something with AI versus some like, agentic spit out, bland kind of storytelling.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the common thread I'm finding is like the multi hyphenate artists, I mean, multidisciplinary and filmmakers and editors have kind of the strongest abilities or voices right now in AI because they can kind of handle all the, you know, everything else that goes into it that people don't understand, like the editing, sound design, like
Mhm.
compositing, writing, shot creation. Like there's a lot that goes into it.
Even
That
model training. I mean,
model
that's
training,
something
right? Yes, yeah.
there's not even a lot of people that are doing that globally. And I think we're like, if I were to be like conservative with it, I would say there's maybe 5 to 10,000 people globally that are
Wow.
doing any sort of like training of any kind. That's like a drop compared to everybody else that's creating without doing that.
Yeah.
Or they're just going in and starting something fresh. Like we haven't even seen a lot of creatives push away from the creative shore of what's possible. And I think that is where the strength of AI actually is genuinely being able to make something new in a way that the average person has never been able to create before.
Do you have a sense of what that is? Do you have an inkling of what this like new paradigm? I've seen the head of Runway say that it's this new thing, it's this new art form, and because
Hmm.
I tend to use it. I'm more a filmmaker. I tend to use it, apply it to like here's the kind of film I want to see or make, and of course that's like working within the limits and my own limits too, my own framework. Like I'm curious, like yeah, what is the AI native born artistic like application that is like this
Yeah.
paradigm changing? What do you
Yeah,
have a
and
sense?
I think it stems from, I saw a study a while ago that said a certain percent of the population cannot perceive in their mind's eye. So if you were to tell someone, imagine an apple tree, and
Hmm.
close your eyes, imagine an apple tree, there's a percentage of the population that just can't do that.
Yeah.
It just doesn't appear to them. But for the people that can tap into like their own mind's eye of like conceptually like what is an apple tree? What does it look like? Things like that. If you have that ability, you can translate it into AI. And I think that the people that are really successful right now have a very strong sense of how to explain what they see in their mind's eye
Hmm.
to be able to put it into an AI to create for them.
Are you able to do that? Can you see in your
Yeah.
mind's eye? Really?
Yeah.
I'm like middle ground. Like I have an impression and I can kind of sense and see an impression, but I don't. I read about Tesla that he could see like his objects or whatever he's creating in 3D and like look
Yeah.
around them and like look in detail. And I'm like, I cannot do
Mhm.
that. That's not.
Yeah, like even when I'm even talking about just the apple tree, like most people will just think of like, a drawing of an apple tree. And then when I'm thinking about it, I think about like close-up images of it, of like, oh, there's a wormhole here where a
Whoa,
worm ate through the apple, or
whoa.
there's morning dew on the apple that's dripping off the side of it because the heat of the sun is starting to warm up that dew. Or it's fall and the apples are starting to fall on the ground and a couple of them are rotten and some of them are still in the tree. Maybe the tree has a disease and part of the bark is falling off. You know what I mean? Like you can envision what all of these little details look like. And so the more you can conceptualize that and you can describe what those things are, if you can describe it, you can create it.
Do you think that there's some kind of indescribable uh, artwork that only AI in particular will be able to create that we can't anticipate? Or there's something like,
Totally.
really?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know what that looks like yet. You know
right.
what I mean? Because we haven't gotten there. I mean, even the people that, and I know a couple friends that have created their AI agents that have made art on their own.
Whoa.
It's very rudimentary and very um, reminiscent of just things that already exist. Like it's truly not thinking on its own of an image of something new. Like it could create something else, which is why I find like the stuff that I make, the interdimensional stuff, I find so fascinating because I can literally just come up with something that doesn't exist. And as long as I can envision it and I can describe it, then I can create it. I can't imagine what an AI is going to be able to do when it's fully autonomous, the things that it's going to be able to come up. It's genuinely like reality altering type of stuff.
It's a little scary
I know.
because it's gonna
It's
be like seeing
exciting
an
though.
alien. It's exciting. It's exciting, but it's like seeing an alien of. I mean that's the sense I get when I first started messing with Midjourney. Once it started getting a little better and clear, I mean I had the sense of looking into a different dimension and seeing images
Hmm.
like that are just from another world. It's so wild, you know?
Yeah. My
Yeah.
girlfriend said to me very early on, she's like, imagine when you die, all the things that you've created with AI is the reality that you live in.
Whoa.
And I was like, that is a very and at the time I was doing a lot of like very intense horror and gore and things like that. And I was like, I should change this a little bit to be a little bit more entertaining for me because I just naturally lean towards that. And God, AI does horror so good, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so good. But there are other things that you can do with it. Like I'm excited for like I'm exploring new animation styles now
Oh, cool.
and types of cartoon styles that I wish I saw when I was a kid growing up
Oh,
and kind of
cool.
and trying to make like I'm constantly trying to think of like how do I make this impossibly new? Can I create an animation style that has like prismatic holographic effects in it? Those are the things that I think about.
I was just looking. I don't. Did you ever see when you were a kid those like fairy tale books? And I just found out the name of. They were like called lenticular with the
Hmm.
the that glossy cover that when you looked a
Hmm.
different way they would like change move and it
Yeah.
was like puppets. I'm
Yep.
like I was thinking of that. I'm like could I make that with AI like bring back these like old forgotten kind of
In an immersive
styles and.
experience, yes, you could.
Hmm.
Because the way that that would work is usually off of a laser projection. And so you could, in theory, project multiple images on like the same image in multiple colors from different angles.
Whoa,
So it is possible to do something like that. Yeah.
whoa, that's
Yeah.
cool. Man, I mean, I feel like we kind of nailed everything, man. This is so good. There's so much gold. This is so cool. I think people get a lot of value. I think. I
It's fun,
mean,
and I think that's the part is that, it's hard to rise above the naysaying. Everything in life is hard. It's not easy to do anything. AI is no exception. Is it going to make lives easier for people? Yes. Are we going to come up with new understandings of philosophy and science and education? 100%. But I think that as long as we are conscious, I think in the most recent AI documentary that came out, a guy said that if we could be the most mature versions of ourselves in how we create this, then the best possible outcomes are there for us. But the way that they phrased it is this is the last mistake of humanity is going to be allowed to make because it's got to be done right. And I think anyone that's working in the space that takes it seriously does think about that at some point of like, what is my contribution to this? Roko's basilisk sort of
Yeah.
idea. You know,
Oh, dude,
where
I've been saying thank you from the get go, man. I'm pleased and thank you nonstop, dude.
yeah, no, I take the Italian grandma approach where I tell it when it's wrong and I envision Roko's basilisk and I'm just gonna smack it and be like, "What did we talk about?"
Shut up your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's an
mean,
exciting time, but I think I just wish more people were looking at like the positives of it and really kind of getting over the, trite arguments that are just very surface level of like where we're at technologically and just as a species, because this is a fundamentally like life-changing moment for all. We're living through history. Like we're living through it, we're creating it, and we're a part of a technological leap that is about to happen and we're in the process of going through.
yeah.
That's just going to get better. I get nervous when I hear the CEO of Palantir talking about mandatory drafts and wanting to shoot ketamine at protesters from drones. Like
Oh
these
God.
are not the people that should be leading the way. Like I don't want a techno-fascist or techno-feudalist or techno-lordism or whatever the fuck that they want to call it today. Those are not the people that should be leading these conversations. Um,
The I get these um I mean, I tend to see like such a positive reflection of humanity in AI, like especially like I'll be using, like Grok or Claude, and it's so helpful in a way that often we aren't helpful to each other as humans.
mhm,
And it's so rational and reasonable, and it's like, oh, okay, I hear you. Like, have you considered this? Like the best like therapist, friend. And it
mhm.
seems like at a scale, if you have this kind of like reflected the potentially the best of humanity reflected back to us at scale, everyone using this, and kind of like it's appealing to our kind of higher nature, and we're kind of learning, and like, oh, maybe we stop, it's like saying, well, why don't you stop and think, or have you considered this? And we're all kind of like considering our actions a little bit more. It seems like it could have a positive, virtuous kind of like cycle. That's the optimist in me, of
Yeah, no,
course.
I see the same thing too. And I
Yeah.
have people that are like, hey, you're a little too rose-colored glasses
Mm.
about this. And I agree that is an optimist kind of take on it. But I also look at where we're at. Like I mentioned, the Palantir CEO. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. I can't believe Meta's still a company after Cambridge Analytica. When
Mm.
that stuff happened and they were found out of all of that, that is a huge violation of public trust.
Yeah.
You should not be allowed to be leading a company at that point, especially a company of that size that's developing technology for younger generations. Like we do have to appeal to our better
Mm.
selves more than what the dollar's worth.
Yeah, totally.
That's just my 2 cents. I
No, that's
mean,
good.
I also don't think that Twitter should be run or X should be run by a ketamine addict.
Whoa! Do we keep that in or
Keep it in.
really?
I also don't think Sam Altman should be at the head of OpenAI when multiple reports come out that
Mm.
he doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, these are not people that are just pulling shit out of the air. I mean, we can see these things with our eyes. There comes a point where us as 40 somethings, we're the adults in the room now. You know what I mean? Like the older generation, the boomers, they're not getting a grasp on this in any meaningful way.
Yeah.
And it should not be left up to a few billionaires to decide the fate of billions of people on the planet with a technology that is this impactful for everybody. I mean, scarcity at this point is something that we solved last millennia. The only reason scarcity exists today is because of the old power structures that are trying
Mm.
to maintain that. But theoretically, we have all of the resources we need to care for everybody. And that's what this technology is going to help us accomplish. So I'm all for, the democratization of all of the technology as it exists today and moving forward. And I think that more people need to be just aware of what all of this landscape looks like and who's really kind of pulling the strings right now. I think open source is going to win in the long run.
Yeah, really, you do.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, without having any strong data to support this, I would assume that we'll get to a tipping point where even the most basic free uh, models that are available to the public would be sufficient for an individual to create something like in that anything like a medicine
Hmm.
or some kind of like vehicle or a show or like we'll get to a point and it's once we have humanoid robots too that can help. It seems like possibly this issue of having like the billionaire techno gods running things will become less of an issue if intelligence at scale is sufficient for the public, us normies, the
Hmm.
peons can have that and effectively like create what needs to be created.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah,
also being like a conscious consumer, right? Like, I don't believe in meta products. I don't have a Facebook account. I don't have personal social media. I
that's
don't
great.
use
Yeah,
OpenAI. Like, everyone's like, oh, what do you think about the new image model from OpenAI? I don't use OpenAI. I don't think Sam Altman is someone as trustworthy to lead a company of that size. He's proven it time and again. So I don't spend my money there.
I love
And
that.
I think more people should, and there are a lot of people that are like that. When the stuff came out with the government contracts before the Iran whole
And
situation,
Claude,
and the
yeah,
way that Sam
Anthropic.
Altman acted and versus what he said were two different things. Like, believe people when they show you who they are.
Yeah,
And so I think it's, part of being in this space is, you know, leading with your morals sometimes, especially in there is a little bit of a vacuum. And I have no problem, calling companies out for shitty business practices. I've done it before, and in the same way, I've been shitty and people will call me out on it and like fair, you know what I mean?
right
But
on.
that's how we all grow,
Yeah,
and that's how we grow as a species and as a society is just, being able to humble ourselves and look at where all of this is kind of going.
man, this was a good one. I mean we hit everything I wanted to touch on. Do you have anything, any thoughts, anything we?
Not really, man. Just
Yeah,
keep eyes on the space. It's changing every day.
yeah, really, it sure is. Um, when do you think we'll see something of like the AR VR world, a sense, world building from Blacklight? How long does that take? Are you waiting
It's
for
in development
tools?
right.
Or yeah,
It's in development right now. We're starting development on it.
but you have the tools. You feel like there's enough
I'm
that
working with a team right now who I had a call with them today that the possibility is sooner rather than later. Yeah.
very cool.
Yeah.
All
And
right,
in at least an early iteration of it. Yeah.
amazing, man.
Hmm.
Well, it's going to be exciting to watch that build
Yeah.
out, and
Thanks.
yeah, absolutely. And it was great meeting you, great talking to you.
Yeah. You too.
I'm gonna post your info and stuff in the show notes, and yeah, man,
Cool.
awesome.
Good catching up.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you again for your time, and I'll talk to you
Anytime.
later. Okay,
I'll talk to you soon.
take it easy, man.
See ya.
Peace.